Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. We, of course, are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Modeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Welcome. You want to talk wrestling with fans and with guys like us? This is the place to be. I am your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. I would be remiss if I did not mention my co-host. We are the co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Championship Network. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing this week, bud?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to Fake Spring. I don't care if it's fake spring. It's spring to me, okay? Yeah. Spring can fake it if it wants, if I get this week. So it's not fake spring to me. It's not fake spring to me, damn it. It's real.
It's real to me, damn it.
Welcome to Fake Spring, my friend. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm excited or not to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight.
No, you got to be excited, man. We're going to make the best out of a not so great situation, okay?
Fair enough.
For anyone who watched, anybody who watched AEW the other night, I don't
Jared,
stress out over that. We're going to talk this out. You're going to feel better after the show. Trust me. Our guest, we were talking in the green room before the show. That's why we went on a few minutes late. And we're going to have a good time breaking this down. But we're not quite there yet, CZ. Some other big things of note are going on here, not just in the wrestling world, but kind of in our little corner of the world, in the Card Subject to Change world. Yes,
very much so. First off, I want to give a huge shout out. There was a big tournament in Germany, the WXW 16 Carat tournament. And a good friend of the show came out winning the tournament here. So I got to give a huge shout out to the one called Manders. Oh, man.
Bravo, my friend. Bravo, Manders. We love you, dude. We cannot wait to have you back on. More on that later. But keep that pick up. West Side Extreme Wrestling is a big promotion in Germany that's followed. It's one to keep an eye on in Europe. Guys that we know that have wrestled there, that of my belief that I know of, I believe Will Ospreay's wrestled there. I believe the one they used to call Walter that they now call Gunther wrestled there. I know several other names have wrestled in that promotion at one time or another. So a guy that we have had on our show, a guy that we knew before this show, but like got to really know because of this show and seeing him wrestling when he's local here. The chances may be fewer and far more between to see a Manders at a show with this notoriety of him winning this tournament over in Germany. But hats off to him. That's a beautiful trophy, great picture, and dude, he lives it. He is up and down the roads. And I know there's a lot of guys and gals out there putting a lot of work in, but I think if you mention this guy's name, he is well respected in that crowd amongst his contemporaries, and they know the work that he's putting in as well. So a Card Subject to Change, thank you, and pop from Never Wrong Nick Bull and Wizard CZ. That was great news to see.
Absolutely. You mentioned that beautiful trophy he's holding. I'm going to bring up something else that I think is quite beautiful here. That is this. Coming this May is the 4th annual Sandra Lee Memorial Car and Bike Show at the Rock Island County Fairgrounds. And there are several wrestling guests. The Headbangers will be there. Buff Bagwell, another friend of the podcast, will be there. Lash LaRue, Corporal Cajun, if you will be there. And the wrestlers get to vote on their favorite car. And the winner of the wrestler's pick gets this gorgeous, gorgeous belt.
Yes, our friend that we've met through this car show and gotten to know, and great all around guy, Ricky Lee, who puts on this Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show, sent us this a while back, and we got to chatting the other night just about wrestling, all three of us, and we're like, hey, send that belt over. We want to start showing it, because when I started a podcast, or when we started a podcast, or when I dipped my toes in the podcasting world, I never thought a logo from a show that I do be on a side plate of a wrestling belt.
That wasn't on your bingo card, huh?
It wasn't on my bingo card, but I'm going to mark out here for myself. That's pretty freaking cool. Like, that's our logo, dude. That's our logo, dude, on a side plate of a championship belt. Now, it's a belt it's a belt that is a trophy of sorts. It's it's the Wrestler's Choice Award for the best car entered into the car show. I know Ricky said they are trying to get over 100 cars this year. And I think with the turnout they had last year, and I think with this thing growing like it has been, I look for it to be over that goal. And I hope Ricky's able to celebrate that on that day. We're going to be out there as well. You also mentioned all those wrestlers, CZ. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a good time. Come out. If you're not into cars, that's cool. A lot of people are into wrestling. There's going to be some wrestlers there. And hit up the guys that like to talk wrestling. So, yeah, it's going to be real cool. That's coming up in May. With this fake spring, it's right around the corner, my friend. So really get that on your calendars, folks. We'll talk more and more about it in the coming weeks. Of course, that championship belt, that photo provided courtesy of Ricky Lee, who sent that over to us. We're on a side plate of a championship belt. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's going to be hard. That might be our moment of the year right there if we're putting together a top 10 at the end of this year. Like,
maybe
we were a side plate on a championship. But there's plenty of wrestling left to do, plenty of wrestling to talk about, as AEW put together a pretty good card, my friend, with their card for Revolution, a pretty good lead up, some good matches on paper. Did they deliver? We don't know, but we do know is we have.
Now, let me tell you something here, Nick Bull. I don't know who delivered or what not here. And I don't have a white shirt or suit on, but I got some kind of white shorts on, and I might not be sweating down here, but let me let the cat out of the bag. This is my surprise here, Mr. Nick Bull. You talk about
Colonel Robert
championship belt.
Colonel Robert Parker, everybody, go watch Slamboree 94. Flair is defending the title against a mystery opponent. We don't know who it is, but the real caveat here is it is the debut of the Horseman's music as we know it in WCW. Okay? Michael Buffer's in the ring, getting ready to introduce. He introduced Ric Flair, and that's when Colonel Robert Parker storms the ring. Yeah. Oh. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag here. This is my surprise here.
You've been doing a good job, but this is my time right here.
Weighing in at 309 pounds from Sweetwater, Oklahoma. Get on your feet and make some noise for Barry Windham here. Oh, Slamboree 94. Go look for it. It does not disappoint. It's an awesome show to watch. A lot of legends that are still alive at that time, which most of them are no longer, now are on that show and presented. It's the last WCW show before Hogan appeared for the first time over there after leaving WWF. E now, but it was F at the time. So Slamboree 94, look it up. You won't be disappointed. Some interesting stuff on that card.
I was educated. Hey guys, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Joe.
Been a while.
Welcome back to the show, as we
welcome back to the show. Joe, the show, Winkel. Joe the Show Winkel can be found on his regular show, Educated Ignorance.
Yeah, we just wrapped up like a half hour ago. Out
Yep,
here.
you did. I see
Dipping
you're
today.
live. I hope he makes our show. Gosh darn it, he better not no-show us. But
no, I had a heart out.
He can be found. He's also he's kind of on a hiatus right now. He does high school basketball. The season's wrapped up, so he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he's watching more wrestling now. So we're glad to have him here. We're glad to have him back. He's always welcome on this show and in this corner of the world. Please welcome the one, the only Joe the Show Winkel. Joe, what's up?
Hey man, it's been. I mean, I don't know if I've done a show in back-to-back months before, but I'm hoping that we can do this more often. But yeah, it's good to see you guys. You're right. So much wrestling. Now basketball's over. Well, like for me to work basketball. Now I just watch it, which drives my fiance crazy. So, you know, that's neither here nor there. But regardless, yeah, we were hanging out Sunday night. It was a blast. We are going to talk about it. But I'm excited to be back. It's always fun to hang out with y'all. The announcements you made, the shout out to your guy who won over overseas. That's pretty damn cool. And then, you know, getting your logo put on a belt, pretty neat. I wish I want to be like you guys when I grow up. That's that's all I know.
Well, with just 3 small payments of $299.95, we can show you the way.
Yeah. There we go. I'm gonna call the 1-900 hotline.
Yes.
To get some tips.
1-900-909-9900. Man, that's like, you know, that might be. I don't have any tattoos, but like if I got a wrestling related tattoo that would make people go, "What is that?" It might be 1-900-909-9900. I mean,
you're gonna get the permission before calling.
Hey, right here.
You're gonna get it tattooed across your chest like the no regrets tattoo. Oh my god. Or you could get it like in
he's a perv. It's a 900 number. Oh, it's a 900 number, but it's not for it's not what you think.
Or you can get it like in super small. Like, remember when Undertaker had his wife's name tattooed on his Adam's apple? Like, you could get it right there.
It was Sarah, right?
Yeah,
right.
Shout out Sarah.
But then he got it lasered off.
Yeah, he did.
Nick, as long as you don't put the phrase "pick up the phone" underneath that, then I think you're good.
Well, it would just be the number. You know, it wouldn't be the parents' permission. That's when people would start asking, okay. No, just the phone number.
Look, I got educated after watching Elimination Chamber weeks ago. I stayed at the lounge until like way later than ever. Probably should have, but it was a blast. I had a great time, and I learned about the Colonel. I learned about the 900 number, and I learned about drugs in the 80s and what people. We talked a lot about wrestlers on drugs in the 80s, and it was funny.
I mean, it's not something that it's not taboo. Everybody kind of, if you grew up at the time, which you're significantly younger than us two old heads, it ran rampant. And it's good to know wrestling's in a better place now, like financially, product wise. And then, of course, cleaning up the locker rooms of the drugs and stuff. I'm not saying there's not drugs still floating around. I'm not saying that. But the public perception has been so much better, and they've done a tremendous job. Not just WWE, but like the whole wrestling world.
Oh, for sure.
Really done a good job of kind of like getting out of that typecast, growing out of that stigma, and just rolling with it. Like I love how they've evolved from that.
I mean, you look back to the 80s. Right now, currently, there is an independent wrestler who is powered by a mysterious white substance. 90% of wrestlers in the 80s were powered by that mysterious white substance. If you know, you know.
I love it. What a sport wrestling is.
It is, man. It is a spectacle. Whatever you watch is a spectacle, and there's so much out there. But there's so much to get to with this show. So we are going to sit here, dissect, discuss, maybe not talk about everything, but we're here to talk about AEW's Revolution show on Sunday night. Before we start picking it apart or whatnot, going into it on paper, one of the better shows they've put together in quite some time, match-wise. There was some good build to a couple things. Of course, we're getting the blow-off for Tony Storm and Mariah May, the Hollywood ending. We're getting that. We're getting a little payoff with Ricochet and Swerve. And if you've been watching AEW television, MJF, Hangman, the lead up to that has been very good. So on top of that, you got, Mox, Cope, main event, other matches I haven't mentioned, which we will talk about. Really good match on a really good card on paper. You guys, before we start breaking this down, I want to hear each one of you's thoughts or hopes for this show. And what were your expectations going in?
I had high hopes. I had good expectations. There were, like you said, a lot of good matches on paper going into this card. And before I let Joe talk, I just want to say, if you're watching and you want to express your opinion, leave a comment. Talk to us. We love hearing from our fans. What were your first impressions of AEW Revolution before the show started? What were you expecting? But no, I think this had a lot of potential. I think it had a lot of a lot of things that would get eyes on the product, in my opinion. But we'll talk about whether it delivered or not in a couple minutes. Joe, what did you think?
I was expecting it to be really good. The thing I was worried the most about was match placement, which is obviously going to be the thing we probably talk about the most. I knew that the card would deliver when it came just to match quality. I think even in their even over the last 12 months where they have cooled off as a product, though I think they're starting to pick it back up. The thing that they still had no matter what was match quality. So from that aspect, it's always going to be good for them. But I think right now, obviously their problems are well documented and we're going to discuss them. But beforehand, I was optimistic that it was going to be a really good show because of the fact that, there was half the card was just littered with amazing matches that we knew would deliver.
Yes.
Agreed. And we'll talk about those matches here in a second, but I want to ask you guys another question. How's this show going to be remembered? Is it going to be remembered for those matches, or is it going to be remembered for the major letdown main event and the results that follow that we're going to be discussing here in a little bit? I'm of the school of thought, a show should be remembered as having a standout main event. Are we going to remember this show for all the wrong reasons?
I think that's the problem. I think that it's already, you look at the last few days, you just look on the interwebs, the social medias, you look at what people are talking about. It's about, the main event. I made the joke that Revolution on Sunday was very WWE mid to late 2010s, where you have these amazing, you've got AJ Styles and John Cena on the mid card having a 5-star match, while Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar are having a no contest in the main event. It's like, what are we doing? Or I heard a better comparison on a show I was watching, very mid 2000s TNA, where you just have the X division and the Great Tag division, and then the main event is this Smodge Fest Jeff Jarrett match. It was unfortunate. We're going to talk more about it, but yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be what it's remembered for. I think it'll age well because I think it'll be like a reverse in the interim. It'll be unfortunately talked about, but I do think as it ages, by the time you get to the end of the year, you'll be like, wow, what a show, because there were three borderline 4.5 5-star matches, a fourth match that was also really close to that, so that's where I think it'll kind of taper off eventually. But in the right now, that's where it takes the biggest hit.
And I can't disagree with anything you said, Joe. You mentioned WWE. Let me ask you guys this question. For a roster that has so much homegrown talent, are they showcasing too many former WWE guys in the main event picture?
It's a great question. I don't know if that really has anything to do with it technically. At least to me, I don't know how anybody, though right now, like it, I think it's kind of, it's not a bad question. It's just, I don't know if it technically, I don't know. Do you guys ever think about that when watching the product of like who they came from, where they started? Certain guys, yes, like, but I get the reason for the question, but I guess I don't think that's where it really it doesn't. I have reasons I don't like it. That's not one of the reasons, if that makes sense.
Very much so. Nick, what are your thoughts there?
I see it both ways. At some point, I think Mox will be remembered as an AEW guy now, not as a former WWE guy.
Swerve Strickland definitely will be remembered as an AEW guy.
Probably going to be remembered as an AEW guy. So I think it's a two-way street when you go that route, when you do that. It has its positives and it has its negatives. You want to get eyes on your product. I get it. And then, I don't know what match we're going to start with. So I don't know. I don't want to go on this big diatribe.
Do you want to work backwards?
Yeah, because I want to go into the main. Let's talk about the main right now. Yeah. Is that okay? We can hop around anyway. If you guys want to go to, if you guys wanted to discuss a different match first, here's your chance to do it.
No, I want to start with the main event because I think it's the biggest talking point, and then we can kind of delve in, kind of ride the roller coaster of all the other fun stuff that happened. But I do think it's the biggest thing. It's why it's the one thing that it's the one thing that they are still stuck on as of like what they can't get right. The reason I compared it to 05, 06 TNA and mid to late 2010s WWE is because everything was good except their world title picture. Now, hopefully that's something that they fix here relatively soon. But regardless, what did we say all night Sunday during that match? The main event was A, it was boring, and B, it was a match that had two guys that the fans just don't really care about right now involved in it. People are kind of meh on the artist formerly known as Edge and John Moxley right now is just, as a heel, the Death Rider stuff just doesn't work. It just doesn't. And the fans have been telling people that it shouldn't have main evented. And that's the biggest thing.
Our buddy Jared Thumb out there, thank you for always supporting the show. He's commenting in, and he's got another comment I'm going to play here in a little bit or read here in a little bit, but this one really stuck out to me. All the marquee matches shouldn't have all been back to back going to the end. I think I know what you're saying because I think that crowd, yes, the Edge Moxley match, Cope Moxley match did not deliver like previous matches did. And for a build up to a match, they've been putting television time and months and weeks into this storyline, of Edge getting beat down and Edge assembling a team and then those guys getting their revenge back and whatnot back and forth. They've devoted some time to this. So by default, I think people are waiting to see, oh my gosh, we're going to have Edge. We're going to have Cope. We're going to have Mox. This is going to be good. We're going to get the payoff to what's been going on TV. And not only did the match underperform, and I get it, guys have off nights, and two pros like that may have off nights. This match to me was the first match I really noticed, like Edge, he's like 2 steps slower than what I can remember him being maybe last time. And I know he's coming back from that big injury where he broke his leg or broke his ankle. coming off the cage. But the match, okay. I think this match not delivering and then the failed cash in ever really pushes this match down even more.
So that's my question. Was that the worst cash in that we've ever seen?
No, because at least he cashed it on the world champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I know what you mean, and I agree with what you're saying. I'm telling you, it would have been brilliant if they would have let Christian pin Edge with one hand as he's getting choked out. That would have been, I would have been celebrating AEW and their show right now, as opposed to kind of talking down this main event and why it kind of dampens the whole show for me. We're not there yet. We're not done discussing that. But man, when Christian put his hand on Edge, I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. But they had invested plenty of time in that Christian cash-in storyline. And for it to go out like that, I think the fans maybe have shifted on AEW and realize, like, man, they really messed up big time there. It ain't just us three. It's like, it's a lot of people saying that they really blew it with this main event. Am I wrong?
Not at all. And I mean, here's the thing. You look at, we've talked about long-term storylines, long-term booking. We like to see that. But if the payoff is going to be garbage, what is the point? I mean, Christian's been built up as the contract holder. Mox has been built up as the title holder without showing the belt on TV. We talked about that. I can't remember if it was the kick out that we talked about it or if it was one of the main episodes, but we've talked about it. Go back in the archives, check it out on YouTube. Shameless plug. But no, you've got this long-term storyline with the Death Riders. You've got this long-term storyline with Christian. And first of all, the payoff didn't happen for the Death Rider story. Second of all, Christian's failed cash-in. Terrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yes. It sucks because it was like I initially said that being the ending is what makes it suck, because Christian cashing in, as I'm gonna steal the gimmick here, but that would have made everything worth it. But because he lost, it was like, really? Now there is a gigantic button shaped like Prince Nana doing the dance that they can hit, which we'll talk about later, that can make everybody forget about this, like the Men in Black hitting the little flashlight and you lose your memory. Again, we'll discuss that later. But
if what happened the other night, what we're talking about here with how it ended, if that happens to get to Mox and Swerve with Swerve taking down Mox, okay. I get it.
Because
I get it.
It was like you had to figure out a reason to get Christian. You had to have a reason to wrap up the Christian gimmick, and you don't really want to put the world title on him. And I'm burying the lead here. Well, I'm not burying the lead. I'm throwing it out there way sooner than maybe it should be thrown out. They have to throw the belt on Swerve Strickland. They have to. They absolutely have to. Now, I know we kind of differed the other night on whether or not we think they will do it. That's neither here nor there for this exact moment. But regardless, the biggest thing.
Why do they have to put it on Swerve?
Because, well, mainly it's because what they have booked coming up. But I think we're seeing, and again, it's not just because of it's not trying to bash one company to up the other one, but it's these two companies are competition. I think each one of them doing good things makes the other one try to do things better.
Right.
So when WWE has, I don't know, the biggest star in company history turn heel after 2 decades of telling us he wasn't going to do it, and then 2 weeks later, this is how, or 8 days later, this is how a really good show ends with this stinky wet fart. Well, I think they need to put the belt on one of their most over guys who's a superstar, which is Swerve, and I think we all agree with that. It's just to raise the bar. That's the biggest problem right now with the Death Riders is no one cares about it. Moxley as a heel is just really, really bad. His work is really bad. His ideas are really bad. I'm sorry. Like, this is what he wants to do, and it's just not good. Whether it's Tony Khan's fault or whether it's not, whatever it is, it's just not good stuff. The Death Riders have died. They were never. The only moment that it was ever cool was when Moxley had Wheeler Yuta put the plastic bag on Wow, I can't believe I said that. When he put the bag on Bryan Danielson's head and it like kayfabe killed him. Like, that was the only moment that it was cool. But outside of that, it's been nothing. And it just sucks when your world title scene is this bad. And especially on a night like tonight, when other matches, one match in particular could have main evented, that should have, and this one did instead, it makes it even more glaring. But also, too, like, they could have had a match that worked, even though that nobody cares about the main event title scene, they could have had a match that worked. Like, there was just no heat to it. The fact that the biggest problem is that it was just boring. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest problem I have with heel Moxley is boring. He is just abhorrently boring.
Can I spin something for you?
Of course.
Now, I don't believe this better not be what they're doing, but are they waiting for Darby to come back to put the belt on him?
It's what we've been kind of guessing at. And it's what storyline driven. It's what everything kind of from how the Death Rider stuff initiated, storyline wise, it is Darby's going to beat them. Like, that's how it ends. I just don't think we can wait that long. I do think if they, again, not to jump ahead, but and I know it's probably what we'll talk about next, but I don't think people are turning on the company because of this match. It's stupid. People are pissed.
Yeah.
And they are doing a lot of other stuff better. Again, I think everything else they're doing right now outside of the world title scene is pretty damn good in comparison to where it's been as of late. If they do have Moxley beat Swerve at Dynasty, boy, oh boy, people are that is going to make people lose their minds. Because that would be bad.
Dead.
It would be,
I don't know. You think that's where Swerve and Mox happens is there?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it happened anywhere else. You could tell the cool story of that's where Swerve won it at that same show literally a year prior.
Let's hey CZ,
yeah.
Let's book Joe for the Night of Dynasty.
I'm all for it.
Just give him an open mic after Mox beats Swerve.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. It'll be crazy.
If Moxley beats Swerve, we've got Jared Thumb in the comments watching the show. Love you, Jared. If Moxley beats Swerve, to quote Jared Thumb, that would be click, click, boom. I'm sorry, they'd be dead. Dead.
I wouldn't say dead, but it's it would be a very bad, why is this where we're at moment? Because I think too many people care about what they're doing in other stories. They're gonna have a pretty they're about to have another huge crowd at a stadium show. I wouldn't say they're dead, but it would continuously cool off their product when it seems like they're really close to. They're not gonna get. It would take a lot for them to be as hot as they were in 21. I think that was it. Yeah, when Punk came and all that stuff, that year run they had. But they could get pretty close to it if they just do a couple things right. Because they're starting to do them again. The Max is serious again. The Hangman story is incredibly intriguing. Swerve is a superstar. Kenny Omega. We're about to get Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada on American fucking soil. Oh my God. So yeah, they're close, but they gotta fix this. That's their biggest problem.
Is Darby Allin back by All In?
Ooh, Probably not. I'm not sure. That's a good
I
question.
don't know what
I'm
his
not
time.
sure.
I don't know what his timeline is, so that's why I threw that out there. I mean, what you said to the point about you saying makes sense storyline wise for him to take out Moxley. It does, but I don't know if they can afford to keep it on Moxley that long. Somebody else may have to take it off of him.
Can't. That's why I think it's Swerve. You kind of just got to ditch the Darby idea, and if you really want Darby to be champ, you got to figure out a new way because you got to put it on Swerve, and you got to let him. I guess he doesn't have to hold it forever because if you want to do Swerve and Hangman, which they probably should have done the last time they were in a stadium, but I get it. They wanted to do Danielson's retirement match. I get it. But you could do Swerve Hangman in a stadium for the world title. It is in June. So if Swerve's the champ, you can have Hangman kind of I'm just saying. I'm not a genius. I just have good ideas sometimes. That's all I'm saying, Nicholas. That's all I'm saying.
We've kind of branched off a little bit, but I really don't have anything more to say about the main event and the failed cash in a Christian. Do you guys have anything more that you want to add before we go on to the next thing?
No.
It sucks because there's good ideas there. I do think there's an interesting story that they're trying to tell with Wheeler Yuta eventually turning on Moxley. Jay White kind of getting involved in certain aspects is fun. The Christian thing would have been really cool. They could have had a good match, but they didn't because heel Moxley is boring. But yeah, it's just hopefully they'll figure it out. I mean, if they don't, oh well. But hopefully they do, and like I said, they have a gigantic button that does this. It moves, and we'll hope that they press it.
I want to make a point here that I could say, all right, we're going to talk about the best match of the night next. And I think all three of us could have different answers. So bravo to AEW for having that kind of a show, that good of a show that we have multiple matches to pick from. It's just a shame that the way the main event went down. But I don't know where we go next.
I do. And I'll only take a moment of your time. Let's talk about Mercedes Moné. And here's what I'm going to say. Done. I washed my hands of it. We ain't talking about it. No, sir.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Is there
another
lackluster
lackluster match for the most overrated female talent in pro wrestling today?
And overpaid.
She's closing in on a year of having that belt.
Yeah. Wonder why hasn't she been in the main event picture yet?
Well, luckily she hasn't because
there were better things going on there.
Stuff going on.
I mean, I just don't care about her matches. I don't care about them. Like,
do you remember how bad that match with Britt was at All In last year? Mike, do you remember how we were all slowly dying in your garage watching that match?
Yeah, secondhand embarrassment. I felt bad, and it was bad.
They were terrible.
I don't feel it with this reign, but yeah. All right, what match are we talking about next?
Joe?
I would say I say we should talk about the match that should have main evented, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm with you.
And it was brilliant. It was just great. People have stated over the years, and I'm not talking about you people, friends here, you two gentlemen, but people have mentioned that AEW cannot book women. I say, I show you the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa feud before the title was involved. And I say, you're wrong. I especially show you this just beautiful, lovely, gorgeous 18 months that they have told, outside of a couple where Toni Storm wasn't there and Mariah May didn't have anybody really good to face, but we'll forget about that. Regardless, Toni Storm and Mariah May, it's been magic. Everything they've done has been fantastic television for literally a year and a half, from start to finish. It should have been the main event. It's a shame that they were not given that moment, because it's not the best story in wrestling right now, but it's the best. It's by far, in my opinion, right now the best women's story. And it's a top like 3 or 4 story, regardless of gender and company. I think
it's the best thing AEW has done in a long time.
Absolutely. I will say this before we start breaking down the match. Match went 12 minutes 55 seconds. The most overpaid woman in professional wrestling, her match went 18 minutes and 30 seconds. I could take at least 10 minutes off of that and give it to Tony and Mariah, hands down, without batting an eye.
It was 12 minutes. It was 12 minutes and what?
12:55, so just under 13 minutes.
Probably one of the better 13-minute matches or less you're ever going to see. Props to them for getting across what they needed to get across in a short amount of time. They obviously got stiffed on the card, which sucks. It sucks that they got stiffed on the card because this was the blow-off. Regardless, it's still a worthy blow-off. It's still very good.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I speak for you guys as well. I wish I got more time. I thought this was the best match of the night because there was a lot behind it. I'm for being a story being told. Both of these women can wrestle. Both of these women can talk. It's been a great character arc for both of them. This is it. This was the Hollywood ending. Like, this was the blow-off. And it delivered. Like, it was great. It was a great match. Like, we don't, we talk about women's wrestling, this and that. This should have been the main event.
Yes.
Knowing what we know now, and if that was the original plan, I don't know how much that original plan changed for the main event during the show for AEW. I can't comment on that. But knowing what we know now and seeing what we had seen, this should have been the main event, in my opinion. Tony finally, yes, she won the title. I mean, she main evented the Grand Slam Collision, whatever you want to call it. But this would have been the thing to really have elevated this feud even more, was to have it main event Evolution.
The one thing that I will give it, the thing that's the most impressive is that for it only being 13 minutes, they do a pretty good job of letting stuff breathe. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel rushed. When we were rewatching it there afterwards, like, it would be cool if they had 5 more minutes or 6 more minutes, or could have had 20 minutes of a full 20 minutes instead of 13. But I think because of how barbaric it was, in a good way, I think that helped the case to allow it to be. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense, TZ? Like,
yeah,
because of how barbaric it was. And, they paid for it being only 13 minutes. It was incredibly well paced. It didn't feel like it was just a spot fest.
Right.
There was a lot of emotion to it still.
They told a brilliant story, not only as the storyline itself for the last, you said 18 months, been fantastic. Every time those two step in the ring together, they tell a masterful story in their match itself. They're the best thing that AEW has going for them. We've said it more than once. This should have been the main event. It should have had a little more time, but at the same time, like you said, Joe, it wasn't rushed. It didn't feel like they got shorted. They told a good story in the time they had. Exactly.
That was the thing. It would have been different if it was a 13-minute match that felt insanely rushed, but it felt like it. It doesn't make up for the fact that it was in the middle of the card, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, it should have been the main event. Like, imagine if Moxley and Edge, Cope, Adam, whatever his name is, Lita's husband, hide your wives.
You're going back a ways there.
Imagine if that match was a little more entertaining and opened the show. MJF Hangman was the start of this banger run to end the show, and Tony and Mariah ended it. we would be talking about it's the best pay-per-view of the year, and it'd be hard to top by anything.
Oh, I agree.
So
I can definitely make an argument for that.
I hope the government didn't get Nick. I know he kind of works for the government, but I hope he didn't just get, I hope the feds didn't just come snipe him.
No, I think he's I think he'll be back shortly.
Yeah, I noticed his internet was kind of bugging out, so
a little bit.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that if I think that for this match, it's like they did such a good job with everything, and that visual to end it with the end up on the Titantron,
and the two of them prone,
yes,
like
that's what I'm
right
saying.
next to each other.
With the spotlight, like, oh my God, just immense. Like, all their promos lately have been great. Like, you go from the start, like, all their moments where Mariah turned heel, like, where Mariah was initially, like, when Mariah was coming out in the old Tony Storm gimmick with the red and the black, when Mariah turned heel after winning the Owen and beat her up with the shoe, the match at All In, the comeback, Tony's turn, the Tony Storm rookie gimmick where it was like she woke up out of a coma and she only being able to win matches via small package because she was like a rookie, which was hilarious.
Right.
Doing the I was shocked. I initially thought that they might have pulled the trigger a little too soon when I heard that on her, like, going back to the timeless gimmick, and then I watched the segment and I was like, no, this is too good. This is too good.
Absolutely.
The performance of a lifetime. Oh, she's so good.
The throwback, you mentioned the shoe and Mariah attacking Tony early on with the shoe. The throwback, having that bloody shoe, the blood's still on the heel.
Yep.
To end the match.
The champagne bottles, like they were taping their hands up. Yeah. How about the promo, the segment with Renee on Wednesday? Oh my God, the stuff that Tony was saying, and then
and that little the serious sit down that they had.
Yes, it was so good.
It was good.
That was like the best version of one of those for women's wrestling that I can ever imagine, and because they don't really do those for women's wrestling, for women's feuds, that was amazing. Like, nothing will ever top like it's going to be hard to ever top like Stone Cold The Rock pre-WrestleMania 17 when Stone Cold saying, like, I will do whatever it takes to beat you and win the title, or the UFC when John Jones and Daniel Cormier said, I will die to beat you, and John Jones says, be prepared to do that. So badass. Yeah, they've never really done something like that for women, and that was so good. Like, Renee at the end just saying, I pray you both don't get hurt, and then they both at the same time say, pray for her. Oh, it was so good. And the match just...
It was good. It was really good.
Epic. Just great.
So let me just throw this out there. They're telling a great story between Tony. They told a great story between Tony and Mariah. Why can't they duplicate that magic that they had with everybody else? They've proven they can tell a good story. Why can't they do that with the rest of the roster?
I do think, not to cut, I don't know if Nick was ready to go or not, but not to cut anyone off, but I do think I don't think you're saying that they haven't done any other good stories, but I think they do. I think they can, clearly. I mean, they've done a lot of really good stories. They've done, the entire Hangman title chase. That was multiple years of interwoven stuff that was brilliant. It was very quick, but the Bryan Danielson retirement stuff was really good. I thought that Hangman Swerve and I even think like what they're doing now with like Hangman going from I'm a dastardly the Hangman arc right now from like overconfident, slowly deteriorating babyface descent into madness, to I'm going to literally burn your house down, bad guy, to I'm going to stab you with a needle to beat you and shoot you up with drugs to beat you, bad guy, to like to realizing you're crazy because you tried to murder your mentor, like tweener, and now he's like slowly being built back up, and eventually he will be this conquering hero again. Like, it's very fascinating. They do a lot of good stuff like that. And I can't even say it's like few and far between, but I get what you're saying. Why can't that be the main event right now? It sucks that it's not, but like the world title scene right now for the men. Why it sucks that it's not, but yeah, when they pull this stuff out, it reminds you that it's like they can be really awesome, because when they can do stuff like this. I get what you're saying. It's like, why don't you do this more?
Yeah. I mean, you would have a lot more people invested. You would be back to the.
The stars aligned with this one, right? Like, these two gals were perfect in their roles and excelled at every turn. Like, it's the stars aligned. Like, you need to, you have a lot of luck with a lot of things, and these guys pulled this off pretty well. I don't think injuries ever really held them back from anything, and you had two wrestlers that both come out better on the end of this after this feud. Whether they won or lost, they both came out better.
Do we agree that Tony Storm winning is probably the right move, by the way?
Yes.
I would assume.
Yes. I think so, yes.
Yeah. I don't think either. I think either way you could have done it well, but I think Tony winning was the right call.
So I feel like we've talked about a lot of the best matches on the card. There's a couple really good ones that we haven't talked about, but where do we want to go from here? I mean, so many roads we can take. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna pop Nick. We're gonna talk about the tag team match next, because I know Nick loves tag teams. I know Nick's a fan of the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate. My apologies.
Get it right.
Gimmick infringement. Yeah, Mark.
Don Moxley.
Mark.
But no, I thought this was the tag match was really good. I like the Outrunners a lot. I think they've got a lot of potential. They're a fun, they're a comedy team, sure, but they're a fun comedy team, and you need that. Bruce Pritchard calls it the "let me up" match, or the "let me up" moment, and you need that kind of thing in these shows to just kind of soften the mood a little bit. But I think the Hurt Syndicate just absolutely destroying them is what needed to happen. And to an extent they did. I would have made it a little bit shorter, made it a little bit of a quicker squash than it was. But the Hurt Syndicate is running through everybody right now, and that's exactly what they need to do.
Come on, they got the crowd chanting, "We hurt people. We hurt people." Like, they're a heel tag team, and they've got a response like that. Like, this needed to happen. Like, if they want the Outrunners, to keep this thing going, like, the Outrunners, I think, had to get squashed. And now, come on, they're going to have them another vignette where they're training to come back, and they're going to get one on the Hurt Syndicate at some point. But in the end, it's going to be the Hurt Syndicate holding them off. But at the same time, the Outrunners need this. They need to be showed that they're validified or whatever, because that they're going to be in that spot. They're getting this spot against the champions. They're going to make the most of it, and they're going to come out even better on the other side of this, win, lose, or draw, just because they're getting more eyes on them, as opposed to being on Collision, which is Saturday night. Diehards are watching it. Maybe you watch it on replay. But like an act like the Outrunners needs to be on like Dynamite, in my opinion. And I like this match. It was what it needed to be. Perfect length. Come out, give the Outrunners a little bit of a chance, but really show them why Lashley and Benjamin are the champs, and they should be for quite some time, in my opinion.
I agree.
What would you guys have them do next? Is there a tag team? Are there any? Who are the tag teams you're wanting to see them wrestle here over the next few months? Like who's the big match? What's the big tag team match at All In? The Hurt Syndicate versus who? Do we get Hurt Syndicate versus Bucks in Texas? Or do the Bucks do something else? The Bucks probably do something else.
They're
right?
supposed to be back on TV any day now. So
I have heard, yes. Their vacation is ending.
I don't know. Like the tag team division over there right now is, I mean, they just the Hurt Syndicate just beat the Guns a few weeks back. The Acclaimed aren't together anymore.
The Hurt Syndicate versus FTR would be fun.
That'd be fun. They're over on Collision. They've been involved with this Death Riders thing.
Yeah.
If
that's a real good question. That's a real good question.
If he were healthy, I'd love to see. I can't think of what they're calling themselves now, but Brody King and Buddy Matthews.
Yeah, I don't know what they're calling themselves either, but that wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Isn't it like the Hounds of Hell?
If it's not exactly that, it's pretty darn close.
Yeah. Which one of them got hurt?
Matthew. Buddy.
I say because Brody
he broke his foot in Australia.
Oof, poor bastard.
And went on a tirade about the size of the ring.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I didn't dig into that too much, but I know people were losing their kablooey about that.
Hey,
Wild.
Oh, absolutely. But
all right, I'll bring up the next match. Let's talk Hangman Page and MJF. If you've been watching, what?
I've been waiting for you to bring this up, Nick.
Why?
Because I want to see MJF do to you what he did to Hangman.
Yeah, you would, you pervert.
I'd laugh my ass off.
I did too. As juvenile as that move was when he hit Hangman with the pelvic thrust to the face and knocked him over, that was pretty funny.
Yes,
I will say that. It did pop
Y'all
me
are
'cause
sick.
It was the right person to do it. But if you've been watching AEW television, you know that these guys have been putting together some pretty good stuff, promo wise, to lead up to this. Vignettes have been really good. It went as I kind of expected. MJF or Hangman needs the win more right now than MJF does. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what weighed in my opinion of thinking that Hangman was going to win.
I think you're correct.
I think, you made the argument earlier that Swerve's a superstar. The title needs to be on Swerve. I would make the argument that the belt needs to be on MJF yesterday. Him holding a title commands attention. It makes you tune in because I think everybody wants to listen to what he has to say because you don't know what he's going to say. He's that interesting. He's got that dynamic.
While I don't disagree with you, Nick, I don't think he needs to hold the belt. He's a made man with or without it.
I could say the same about Swerve.
That's fair.
I can say the same about Swerve. Like I think Swerve could never touch the belt again and still be that badass dude that's going to come out there and kick the side of your head in and pin you. And that's not a knock against him, but I would say the same about that. But I think they're missing out on so much. What's next for MJF is my opinion. I thought this match was good. Not as high as some of the other matches on this card, but it still was fun. It was a good opener.
Yeah.
I like both these guys. Their in-ring work. I may not like both guys' characters, but that's irregardless. Are we going to see a showdown in the very near future with Hangman and Swerve? Who knows? I think we will. I think we'll see it again. They know that the fans will pay attention to it. The fans will care because those guys go out there and just beat the crap out of each other. So who knows? But that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
Yeah. Let's say that's where we end up. Swerve wins. If I get my wish and Swerve wins at Dynasty, and it's Swerve Hangman for the title at All In to main event Texas, It'll be pretty interesting to see what kind of story they try to tell, considering where the characters are at the moment.
You're forgetting about Double or Nothing. That's going to happen before all.
Oh, it will. Shit, you're right.
So you might want to put that into perspective because they're going to have something happen at that show.
Let Swerve beat Kenny Omega. What? Who said that? Did I say that? It would be cool. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason behind it. It would just be cool to do it.
Well, Omega's not going to lose the belt that he has.
No.
That'll be title for title against Okada at All In. So whatever he does at Double or Nothing is not going to take away his title.
He stole my idea. I told him that
No.
Just like I told you, what was the other one that I brought up to you, and you were like, "Yeah, that's really good." There was another one that I told you the idea that Christian should cash in the match, and you were like, "That's a great idea." Then you started running with it like it was you. You said it was your idea.
Said I called this. I never said that.
You said you stopped acknowledging me in general. You said I don't even know that Joe guy.
Joe who?
Whatever, dude. Whatever narrative, whatever false narrative you want to write, that's fine.
Joey Fake News over here. That's my gimmick. That would be my wrestling name.
Just when you think you have the answers, Joe changes the questions.
Exactly.
Anything else stick out to you guys with this match before we move on to the next one?
Couple really cool spots. The tombstone on the chair on the outside.
Oh, God.
Very good.
The bump that Max took on the Fallen Angel. Hoo! Holy Jesus.
Right on his chin. Oh.
Yeah, buddy, buckaroo. Great match. Great story. I'm interested to see if they run it back. I don't know. We'll see. I'm intrigued to see where they go with those guys next. Like if Hangman, if Max doesn't wrestle, if they don't run it back, what does Max do next? I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see where they go.
I'm curious too. I'm curious what's next for him.
Remember when Jeff Jarrett was like going to make a run at the world title for 5 minutes? That was fun. Go AEW.
I don't know what's next. I do not know what's next for MJF. I have no clue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things play out. And tune in tomorrow to Dynamite.
There you go.
Right?
That's right.
You want to talk about Jarrett's? You want to talk about the match that your boy here didn't like?
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, bring it.
So, I can't agree with him here. I thought this match was really good. Ospreay and Fletcher. Shout out to Kyle Fletcher for legitimately becoming a pretty good singles wrestler.
Yeah. Made a name for himself ever since Mark Davis was injured and on the shelf for a prolonged period of time. He went out there and got his name and face out there, wrestled all over the place. And I think, fans genuinely care when he's in the ring. I'm going to watch his match now. So he's went out and done that for himself and good on him for doing that.
It was the second best cage match they've done, I think, behind Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks. It was barbaric. It had some high spots. I thought they did a good job of kind of telling their version of their story. I believe the Styles Clash on the Tax is the sickest spot I've ever seen. And when it was happening, I knew it was happening. Like when he caught the roll up, I was like, oh, he's going to do this Clash on the Tax. And it wasn't even the craziest spot in the match because they literally did a Spanish fly off the top of the cage. So it was great. It was great. Billy Ocean Spray continues to hoop. Just give him the ball. Let him clear out. I was happy. It made me smile. It was fun. And I'm glad Will won.
Should the belt be on him?
You could make a pretty damn good case if you wanted to. That's the thing. The question that you brought this up, like we're rewatching some stuff Sunday night after the show ended. You said if you brought up like if make us czar of AEW and you could only keep 5 guys, we kind of had a consensus 5 between the 3 of us, but they're all like world champion, super duper star level. That's a good thing that they have, is that they have, and both companies have that, like, depth of who you would want to be a world champ. But that's the thing for AEW, is they do have some incredible high-end talent,
They do. They absolutely do. No discredit to them there at all. No, none at all.
So there are 2 matches we haven't discussed. Do we want to talk about the Rainmaker, or do we want to talk about Kenny Omega?
Oh, I want to talk about Fletcher and Ospreay a little bit, if I can.
Okay. I'm sorry. My apologies.
I liked the cage match. I thought it was really good. There's a story to be told there, because they're former allies. Now Fletcher's trying to go out there and make his name bigger than Ospreay's. And there's, there's genuine hatred there, jealousy, storyline wise. And that's what's got me into it. Don Callis' involvement's always gold. I think Callis is great. And this match was really, it was really good. I liked it better than the Omega match, which we'll talk about next, the Omega Takeshita match. And I love Takeshita. I liked this cage match better than that. And I know this cage match may get rated higher than Toni Storm, Mariah May, but I like Toni Storm, Mariah May a little bit better. This was still fun. I still enjoyed this match. I think it's the second best match on the night, but regardless, it was pretty freaking cool to see what these guys could do with a cage. Did some stuff that we haven't seen before, and that's unique. And these guys are good dance partners. They're always going to be. And they'll be showing these clips in the future when Fletcher finally gets over on Ospreay and becomes like a world champ somewhere down the road.
The visual at the beginning. The visual at the beginning is what really got me.
It was a really good cage match. I really liked it.
Yeah, at first I was like, why is Fletcher climbing the cage like this? And then when they did that, and then Ospreay climbed it too, and I was like, okay, this might be stupid. But then the visual, while the Ospreay chant, and also Fletcher putting his fingers in his ears, was just kind of funny.
That was funny. Hey, this is great to disagree. Jared Thumb weighs in here. Hey, I loved the Omega match. I hated that cage match. Man, hey, I hear you. I could see why you wouldn't like it. I liked, unless you got anything to add, CZ, I'm going to hop right into Takeshita and Omega, which this was the match I was looking forward to the most to watch. And they went out there and put together a really good match. I know it's going to be looked back on and reviewed as great. It just left me wanting a little something more. Takeshita's my guy in AEW. I love his matches. I think he can work with so many different sizes and so many different styles. And, his strikes, there was a couple we reacted to that he really got him good. It was excellent. It was an excellent match. I just when it ended, I was like, oh, okay. Was kind of waiting for the big blowout ending type of deal, but it didn't come. So I need to go back and watch this match. I have nothing bad against it. I just think the previous 2 matches that I talked about were better than this match, and this match left me wanting just a little more.
I like how I really think I'm going to start. I know I will, but I'm going to fall in love with the story they're trying to tell with Kenny Omega. They're trying to tell the old man Logan, old man Kenny, battling through the fact that he could have died, legitimately, at DT. And he kind of, as a vet, he found a way to win. You know what I mean? It doesn't, and it's not taking anything away from his match quality, but I like how they told that story in the match. And I do think they saved something for, I would not be shocked if they run it back at Double or maybe Dynasty or Double or Nothing. They'll definitely have the trilogy, the third match between the 3 of them. And I expect it to be great. But yeah, that was that. I can tell by the way they did that match that's the kind of story they're going to try to start telling with Omega, is this kind of older version that can still be amazing, but he's got to get a little creative. You know, he used leverage and kind of hit him with a surprise roll up to win the match. You know, I do think in the next match that these two have, you'll see the crazy finish. Like they didn't turn the wick. They turned the wick up to like 8. They still got like 2 notches to go, and that's fine. They still had a 4.5 quality star match, while not sandbagging, but clearly leaving something in the bag for the end of the match, which is impressive that they can do that. That's how good they are. That they can be that awesome while leaving a little bit out there to make us want more. CZ, they want they're teasing us. They're having us chase the carrot.
Yeah, they're dangling it out in front of us for sure, and I think they put on a hell of a match, and I can't wait to see it run it back. See him run it back. You know, it was fun. Omega has always been very talented and one of the best wrestlers in the world, or at least was in his time. I mean, some younger people may be coming up to surpass him, but he's up there. He's one of the top wrestlers that's ever been, at least in the modern era, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think next for him is just the eventual march to Okada at All In. I think that's where they're ultimately building for. But I mean, matches he has between here and then are going to be great, and just another great performance from both these guys. I didn't hate this match. It just I thought the other two were just a little bit better. But love Takeshita. He drops the international title here. I don't know what's next for him, but I'm sure it's bigger things.
Does Don Callis make a play for the title with him? I mean, I know Swerve's the number 1 contender, but does Don Callis make a play for Moxley at some point here in the near future?
I don't know. Give me Swerve and Takeshita. I would love that. That'd be great. Sign me up. I mean, I'd be front row for that, man. That would be fun. I don't know if we get there or not. Probably not. I think it's a while before he's main title picture, but who knows? I mean, maybe he did drop it for that reason, but I don't see it going down right now like that.
I'd like it to at some point.
It seems like they're trying to start heating him up, like for some big time stuff.
I hope so.
The problem is like, I do get why it seems like they're cold on him at times, but it does make sense considering like half the year he wrestles in these other promotions. Like he does these events with like,
Right.
Yeah, he goes to New Japan and he'll probably wrestle the G1 again and all that stuff.
Right,
you know?
right.
So like it's hard to. It's there. I understand why there's certain times where it's like, well, why isn't he doing more? Well, he's not in America half the year.
Right.
He's doing other stuff.
So what haven't we talked about, CZ? I've lost track.
The only thing we haven't talked about is Brody King taking on Kazuchika Okada.
Big Kazu.
Bitch.
You know what? This match, I had no problems with. I kind of figured Okada would retain, but it would be a physical, slap fest between the two guys. I don't think it disappointed. I don't think it went that long. And I kept my eyes on it the whole time. I mean, greatest match I've ever seen? No. Was it horrible? No. I mean, it was fine. Not bad. Brody King's a stud and Okada's a stud. I guess maybe I was hoping for a little bit more, but it was fine. Other than that, it deserved to be there. It was fine. It was on the card. I had no problems with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all collectively just counting down the days till we get Omega Okada in America. Yep. That's where we're at right now. That's what we're waiting for. And it's coming.
Maybe for the last time. Who knows?
It would be what, the 6th time they've wrestled?
I don't know for sure. I am not an expert by any means on that feud. So,
okay.
Me either.
I feel like I'm way overboard on 6, maybe 5. Hold on, let me see.
I trust your opinion.
I know, but I just like to. I think they've wrestled 4 times. This would be the 5th.
This be the 5th. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because the 4th one was the one Kenny finally beat him in the 2 out of 3 falls match.
Okay.
Nearly 7 stars.
Was it in Tokyo?
It was. It was
Yep.
at Dominion in 2018.
Where are we at? Somebody tell me where we're going.
We've talked about all the matches. I guess the only thing left is where do you guys rank this show? Where do you grade this show?
Let's see. 3rd best Revolution ever. 4th, maybe.
This
Maybe
is the best. Okay, this is the best AEW pay-per-view since when?
Great question.
I'll say that. This is the best one since
Last Revolution. Since Last Revolution.
And that was, refresh my memory.
Sting Darby versus the Bucks.
Yep.
Okada or not Okada. Christian Daniel Garcia was the first match. I don't remember who Okada wrestled, but I do remember.
I remember that main, and that
Kingston,
main was
Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson.
that might have been when Kingston got hurt.
No, it was Kingston won. It wasn't when he didn't get hurt yet. He got hurt a couple months later. What's the match I'm trying to, or what's the? There's another. Takeshita Ospreay. That was Will's first. That was Will's.
There you go. This was
Yeah.
their best pay-per-view in a year. I'll say that. With that being said, I give it a B++.
I think that's fair because it's like if you can't give it an A because of how it ended, but it's a pretty close to doing that, and they're really close to being. Again, they'll never be as hot. I mean, it's a rarity that companies are as hot as they were when AEW was in 2021.
Yes,
WWE is kind of that hot. I mean, they're that hot right now, so it's a rarity that you get to that level. AEW will never be that again, but they can get pretty damn close, and they are close. They just gotta just put the belt on Mr. Swerve, please. Do that for me, for Joe. We'll all come off the top rope, catch a vibe, catch a whip when we drive or whatever.
Oh, by the way, that was the best Swerve drive-by I've ever seen. That first one that he gave Ricochet the other night. Man, I went back and watched that replay. Dude, he got it. It was foot, face, over, man. That was great.
Yeah, it's one of the sickest moves in wrestling right now.
It is one of my favorites, too. One of my favorites. I love when he does it. Is there anything else we need to discuss with this show, CZ? Joe?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay.
We did well. I'm proud of all of us.
We did pretty well. Good job,
Good job.
guys. We got through it just fine. Knew we
Give
would.
yourself the Tommaso Ciampa back clap.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We're
Well, since we didn't take a commercial break, I'll do this real quick. We're powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, protected by Jared Zook at Country Financial. Of course, we are card subject to change. The podcast by the fan. We had Joe Winkel in the house. I'm never wrong, Nick Bull. That's the Wizard CZ. We broke down Revolution tonight. I thought we talked about a lot of stuff. You know what? I liked this, actually. I didn't know if I'd like it. Wait until Tuesday. But, I think I had more thoughts about where they're going. Maybe I presented in this show more so than reviewing the match itself, or more so than, breaking down the show itself. I mean, I loved talking to the different possibilities and whatnot. So a little twist on a review show, right? We don't usually go move for move here, but I like how we do things.
Yeah, we cook, bro. I appreciate you guys for letting me on again.
Anytime, brother.
Did you guys get to watch Raw last night?
I did.
Or at least, yeah, buddy. You know what it's going to be? You know what it's going to be, Nick? It's going to be the Paul Heyman on a pole match. Paul Heyman on a forklift. That's what it's going to be. Where is Judy Bagwell when you need her?
I don't know. I don't know if that's probably where we're going. We're probably going to a triple threat. I don't know. We'll see.
Punk's going to do a promo with Paul. Paul, I want your soul.
Oh, I
me
want
your
that favor.
I want your soul.
What if,
Paul.
Nick, you've talked about this, about how you're not a fan of a triple threat if it doesn't mean anything. What if Punk's favor is making the triple threat a number one contender match or getting into the title match with Cody?
But how does Heyman have that leverage? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I know. They're bringing it up, though. They brought the favor up last night after Roman.
I know you've seen Heyman over there consoling Punk, so I love it. I love it. Let's do, man. This is fun. I know we just talked about Revolution, man, but I love that we're on the road to WrestleMania. So
wrestling is cool. Wrestling's fun when you allow yourself to enjoy all wrestling.
And then we got, we wrap this up. We're recording here on a Tuesday. We got to go back and watch that NXT show tonight. That's a loaded NXT show against some big TNA stars on the show tonight as well. So good time to be a wrestling fan. We always say that, CZ.
We do. Well, that is going to wrap things up for this episode of Card Subject to Change. Nick, I'll leave it up to you. Are we doing a kick out tomorrow? We don't have it in the can yet.
I don't know. You're going to put me on the spot live here, huh?
Yes.
We'll do it live.
That's up to you. We are Card Subject to Change.
Maybe since we're doing the show tonight, we let it rest for a week. Come
That's
back
fine.
Sunday with a clear head and a new guest.
That works for me. What do we have coming up on Sunday?
Sunday we have a Black and Brave graduate, the Guatemalan Dragon, Carlos Oliva. I'm excited to have him on the show.
I already know I'm going to ask him.
Well, you always know what you're going to ask first.
But I got another question too. I can't wait.
Fair. That's fair. But no, we'll be back on Sunday at our normal time, 6:30 Sunday evening. But until then, I am the Wizard CZ, for my tag team partner, Never Wrong Nick Bull, for our guest and good friend Joe the Show Winkel. Wait, this isn't basketball.
It's not.
This has been Card. This has been Card Subject to Change. We will see you next time right here. So stay tuned.
This has been a For Frequency Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.